Testicles. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host, Tammy, and with me today is Suze, because poor Ash is having some power outage problems. So, Suze, how are you?
I am not having a power outage problem, so I am pretty excellent, and Ash is not excellent, unfortunately. How are you?
Ash. I'm good. Sophie's on the mend. She pooped. This is what I've been waiting for.
I didn't know that. Woo!
Well, and now that I said that, I guess we all know that Noah's here. And as always, Dave. Welcome, Dave and Noah.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to have to put a stop to the disinformation. Ash turned Amish, and that's why she's not here.
Oh, right.
That's the only obvious answer.
She did. It's funny because I messaged her and I was like, if you need a place to stay, like, you're welcome here. And she's like, we're just practicing for the apocalypse, so it's fine. I'm like, okay.
It completely sounds like something Ash would say.
Right? I'm like, well, if you get sick and tired of practicing for the apocalypse, my door is open.
That's amazing. And for anybody wondering that may not have known the reason I was saying that Sophie pooped, Sophie is my cat. She was harmed earlier last week now. And she's thankfully on the mend, but I was waiting for her to poop. And it was a really big deal. And she finally did it. And it's a happy day.
Very happy day.
Now that we've got all that out of the way, I want to introduce our very special guest that we have tonight. We have with us Eric St.Pierre. Welcome, Eric.
Hello there.
Whoop, whoop.
Nice to
Hi,
be
Eric.
on.
Eric.
Loved your guys' shows, and if anything, you guys kind of remind me of the modern day Coast to Coast AM, if you guys know that show at all. It's
Sure do.
Yep. I get those kind of vibes with the show, with the guests you guys bring on, and you guys are very fair, and what I like about it especially is the comedic aspect. You guys don't sell yourselves as a conspiracy podcast so much as a comedy podcast, which I find it's a fun way to deal with things because you have to be able to laugh at things.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Eric.
You so much. I do
really
not know
like
the
that.
show you're speaking about, but
I don't either, but now I'm going to search.
Yes, no, I will look it up.
Can't find it syndicated in Canada anymore. Last time I checked, it used to be syndicated until Trudeau took power. Then it just kind of left
shocking.
the airwaves all of a sudden. It's been very hard to track down in Canada, at least.
Of course.
Of course, that Trudeau
I'm
guy's up to
so
something.
surprised.
Always up to something.
So, Eric, thank you for joining us. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself. How did you come to X?
Okay, sorry. I started an X account with my old band called Timeless Void a long time ago. Had a bit of a small following, but was just mostly sharing music that I would produce with my buddies and whatnot. So it was just pretty much an outlet for me to put on music onto a platform. But when the pandemic, or plandemic, as however you like to look at it, started, at first, I have to admit, I fell for it. And for the first few months, like I'd say, I found out about the pandemic in China in January of 2020. Nobody really was paying attention. I was just coming off one of the worst colds I ever had at the time. I started panicking back late January, early February. So before everyone was at the grocery stores trying to get all their toilet paper, I was already like, hey, you guys are finally here. I got all the toilet paper. I got the silver. I got everything I need. Ready for the apocalypse, essentially. And then what I started noticing was, the case fatality rates just started dropping hard like a rock. So I went, okay, this is nothing to worry about. But that's when the world started freaking out. Once the case fatality started dropping hard like a rock, that's when all of the sheep started getting very fearful. And at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing. I changed my profession, so I was working as a lead hand at Ren's Pet, so pretty much distributing stuff for pet food, essentially. So that's what I was doing as a lead hand supervisor.
Okay, so I just want to say, Ren's Pets, a girl from that store is who saved my cat last week. So big shout out to the employees of Ren's Pets.
There's a lot of good folks there.
Good job, Ren's Pet.
A lot of good folks that work there.
Anyways, continue, Eric.
So I ended up deciding I want to work in healthcare. So I decided to work at a healthcare warehouse distribution facility during COVID. And what I noticed even more so was, man, if this was a real pandemic, I'm looking at all of the body bags in the aisles. Like, okay, if this is a true issue we're facing, I'm going to see these body bags move because I can see the receive logs. Are they moving? No, they are not. What were we moving during the pandemic? Adult diapers.
So hold on here. You're working at a medical supply place.
That
And
distributes
you're
to all of
surrounded-
Ontario's hospitals.
Wow.
Whoa. And you're actually like you're serious about the body bags.
Yeah, I made sure to know where they were because I knew I did
Wow.
inventory control, so I kept an eye on them. We barely moved any during the pandemic.
Wow.
That's insane.
My mind is blown right now. I did not know that about you.
Have you said this publicly before, or should we keep an eye on you?
I haven't said it publicly, but anyone who knows me,
Okay.
yeah, they knew I worked in this profession for a
And
bit.
you don't work there anymore.
No. 'Kay,
Okay. Or else you wouldn't be talking about this if you did.
yeah, I got headhunted for another company, and in that time when I got headhunted, I lost my job over the vaccine mandate shortly after. So I got a better opportunity, paying more,
So did I.
and then the vax mandates came out, and they were like, "Well, you're in your 3 months. Bye." Without cause.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So that was.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
It was what it was. It can't change it. And then when I was trying to find other jobs, I had so many other opportunities that fell through because I did not have the jab. This was pre-Freedom Convoy 2022.
Wow.
But what brought me
And
next
so-
was seeing trying to find true opposition because I couldn't find it through Facebook. I could kind of suss it out through websites like Zero Hedge. Sometimes some guests on Coast to Coast would show up, or sometimes I like to listen to Alex Jones for a different perspective. So I would hear an oppositional perspective. I have my parents who are awake who had an oppositional perspective, but trying to find it on a social media platform, I couldn't find it except for Twitter. So I had my old band account, which I had started following certain accounts. So if you guys know, like Frank Grimes,
Yep.
yourself,
Great account.
I started following you folks there passively. I'm like, wait a second, it's glad to see a breath of fresh air. Folks are actually getting what's going on in our country right now and globally. Because I essentially always felt a contrarian with very alone in my perspectives. I'm friends with a lot of liberal and NDP supporters. Like, folks, when they talk to me, I have disagreements with my friends, but at the same time, I have a very different perspective than the peer group I grew up with. And I'm very fortunate I still have that peer group. And that's one thing that I find with men and versus women. During COVID, my wife lost her friend group pretty much because she didn't get vaccinated. They completely isolated her. Or all my friends, they didn't give a crap, and we still hang out.
Yeah.
It was a very different world between men and women, essentially. I found that the social pressures for women versus men were very, very entirely different. Where I saw the nastiest behavior from my wife's university-educated friends.
Of course.
Really?
University-educated people.
Yeah. The indoctrinated.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I guess like on that topic, when you say it like that, yeah, I guess women have been kind of the cattiest about all of this. Even if I think back, actually, because like my own best friend, when they were kicking us out of society, I remember she called and was like, "Well, your choices have consequences," and I just was like, "Excuse me?"
Yep.
And so, yeah, thinking back to that, you're absolutely right.
So for me, it's like actually the opposite. I thankfully, like most of the people in my family, my husband's family, are all on the same page. We did like kind of disconnect with a whole group of friends, but it was husbands and wives, and they were all my husband's friends. Those were the ones that excluded us from the annual Christmas party. Now my husband still talks to them like from time to time. It's not like there's like bad blood or they cut us off or anything like that. But it's not the same for me. Like I don't really care for these people anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame
for the
you.
most part. And the only person that I directly had a conversation with, because I was getting fired from my job for not getting vaxxed, and I had a conversation with two people actually. One was a good friend of mine, and it was a male. And he was very much like, why don't you just get vaccinated and blah, 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 blah. And I know a guy that he has COVID and he's in the hospital and he's going to die because he's not vaccinated and da-da-da-da-da. And the other one was my ex-stepfather, again, a man. And he was also, why don't you just get vaccinated then, right? So like he was both of these conversations were with men. And then with my ex-stepfather, actually it was another step further after that when the convoy happened, because he was a trucker and he was very much against the convoy. And me and him had words about that too. So I never had any like direct issues with females in my life.
Well, that's very fortunate in your case. At least in my wife's case, she lost a good chunk of her peer group she grew up with over the issue.
There were some female friends that like were on the other side, but they didn't argue. We didn't fight about it or anything. Like we were both very respectful, but I'm not necessarily like friends with them anymore because we just don't align, right? But it was never like any bad blood or anything like that.
In my
Dave
family,
actually just brought something up here.
oh yeah,
That's pretty interesting.
Friendships over vax status. So, Dave, was this a Google search?
A brave search.
Okay, so it's an AI-generated answer, and it says, according to a survey of 1,000 Americans, 1 in 7 people have ended friendships over their stance on the COVID-19 vaccine. The survey found that 66% of those who ended friendships were vaccinated, while 17% do not plan to get the vaccine at all. Among vaccinated respondents, 14% said they had ended a relationship with a friend who did not want to get vaccinated. These findings highlight the strain that differing views on vaccination can place on friendships. Some individuals have reported losing close friendships due to vaccine hesitancy or refusal. For instance, a woman with chronic pain ended a 10-year friendship after a friend posted anti-vaccine content on Facebook, believing it to be dangerous disinformation. Wow.
It sounds like the unvaccinated are the more reasonable side.
Shocker.
You don't say.
However,
You don't say.
I'm vaccinated. 3
That's
times
fine.
over.
Oh my God.
And my
Get outta here.
injection site is starting to hurt. Can we shift the conversation?
Noah, can you add in like a big like boo and like throwing tomatoes at that spot when you do the edit?
Now that I'm here and you've asked, it's taken the fun out of it. I'm not going to do that.
see,
But you probably will.
I'm going to do it.
and the thing is, I was at the time when the vaccines were coming out, I was thinking job security. Oh, I might have to get this to keep my job. And what kind of opened my eyes was seeing my grandma's reaction. Right after she had her first shot from the Pfizer, she had a stroke. And after her second shot, she had another stroke and was hospitalized for a good chunk of time. The doctors told her, do not get another vaccine. That was my my line in the sand going, okay, something's up with this. And then also my best friend, who's my best man at the wedding, he had convulsions and seizures both times he got his Pfizer shots at the
Jeez.
clinics.
Wow.
Was he also told not to get any more shots?
He decided that on his own. He
Okay,
stopped at
so-
his second shot.
YouTube, if you're listening, his grandmother was told to stop injecting herself. This is not disinformation.
Yeah, and anyways, we mean allegedly about all of it.
Everything.
Yes. Allegedly.
Everything allegedly to all of the things.
Allegedly, and allegedly.
For comedic purposes, because it's a comedy podcast, right?
Obviously.
On a side note,
Everything we're talking about is for comedic purposes, and we don't believe any of it, and we're
Can
just
be-
joking.
Can be considered satire, but
let me tell
Yes.
you something that I'm completely making up. My grandma also had a stroke after the vax. Totally making that up,
Allegedly.
but
Yes,
she
of
also
course.
had one.
Yes.
Not making that up. Allegedly.
but
Just
with-
like my I'm totally making this up too about my father-in-law got shingles after his, but I'm totally making that up. Totally making it up.
I'm also making it up that 2 friends of mine got shingles, but they didn't. Just kidding. And I know multiple people that didn't
Real.
get turbo cancer.
Oh.
But they didn't. They didn't. Yeah.
No, didn't. That's what I said. I know multiple people that did not get turbo cancer and are not suffering as a result. And my own mother hasn't been repeatedly sick and hospitalized since she got them either. She's in fine form.
I haven't had
Perfect
to
health.
call 911 for a guy I work with who's 25 having seizures on the floor.
Hey guys.
but not
Hey.
from the vaccine, because
Hey.
that would be disinformation.
Hey, 25-year-old vaccinated person over here. Can I just say that this is such a wonderful group that makes me feel so comfortable about decisions I've made in my life, and that
Hey,
you
it's
know,
Russian
even
roulette.
though
You got lucky.
Hey,
Noah, just
Stop
think of that
making
when you learn you
decisions
got
for
lucky.
yourself.
Eric, I'm lucky for now, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Be scared of our made-up stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't.
That was all
fine.
made up. I'm perfectly fine. Totally
You're
not scared.
perfectly fine. You're fine. You're
Everything's
totally
fine.
Yep, sure.
This is fine.
But again.
Anyways,
we
How's that bump on your leg, Noah?
It's still squishy. Hasn't really changed much. It's bigger in diameter.
Oh, you should probably get that checked out.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I might just be gone one day. Who knows? From this little bump on my leg.
No.
I still need to
No,
get
I
what's
know.
his face Jason to examine it from the alien people.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I told him I'd send him a picture of my leg, but he didn't send me the picture of the document, so I didn't. It's like, this is a fair
You're
trade. Like, I'm not just gonna
Screw
send you a
you.
picture of my leg. Like,
You don't
come
get the
on,
picture of my leg
have
now.
some professionalism.
So Eric, I wanted to talk about a tweet that you did a few days ago that resonated with me, and I'm sure it did with others as well, but I'm just going to actually read the tweet, and then it's the end that really got me. But the Team Canada elbows up approach is merely the globalists using Canada as a proxy against liberty in the U.S. If the U.S. were to descend into civil war, Canada would surely be a party in the conflict. Canada is being used against the U.S. just like Ukraine was used against Russia. Boom.
Yep.
And you'd ask anyone in the USSR, former USSR, would the Russians and Ukrainians be killing each other in 1990, 1991? They'd go, no, that's impossible. They wouldn't have thought that. Because at the time, they were linked at the hip pretty much. The languages are very, very similar. Actually, I have a buddy I grew up with. I call him the true Soviet. His mother's Ukrainian. His father is Russian. What happened when Russia seized Crimea was all of the Ukrainian side of the family fled to Russia because they knew what was going to happen. It was planned.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Dave, did you want to, he did a video with that. Did you want to just play that?
On its way.
If you can. Thank you.
1 second. Boom.
Just thought it would be a good one to listen to.
The more I think about it, this Team Canada elbows up approach seems to be a proxy in starting a U.S. civil war. Because if there was a civil war and the globalists wanted to destroy freedom, they would definitely use us Canadians against the Americans, just like the globalists used the Ukrainians against the Russians. Seems a little unlikely now, but if you'd have told the Ukrainians and the Russians back in 1991 they'd be killing each other, they wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, very well said.
We're not there yet, but yeah, I'm worried for my children now. I don't have children yet, but
We are on our way.
yep.
So, Eric, what is your take on the current state of Canada? Like, do you think it can be saved? Do you think it's past saving? Are you making exit plans? Are you planning on sticking it out? What's going on?
My friend group is here. My family's here. My history's here. As I said earlier, well, I probably pre-podcast, but my family's been here since the 1600s. I'm not going anywhere. For better or worse, I live by Canada. I die by Canada. I see the U.S. potentially annexing us, depending on how it goes. Could be really nice getting a constitution, lower taxes, but it also makes me worried of other plans the elites have for us called the North American Union, which the Americans also would be losing their liberty and giving up their sovereignty, their constitution as well. So it all depends on how it happens. If it's a manifest destiny, constitutional republic U.S. conquering Canada, I'm not going to raise arms. I can still have my friend group. I can still have my family, my way of life. I'm not too impacted. So I'm not going to raise arms against the U.S. if they're coming to liberate us from the globalists. But my fear is or I don't like using the word fear because they want us in fear, but the concern is they want to pretty much turn North America into what the European Union is, essentially. So, sure, they don't have their the globalists don't have their ideal candidate in the White House at the moment, but that can change in 4 to 8 years. But what they could do is, again, further the divide between the Americans and the Canadians, which, again, our media has been getting people I know up in arms. I've got my father-in-law, conservative, gun owner, and he's like, I'm ready to take arms against the U.S. It's like, whoa, where's that coming from?
All the fucking radio commercials and everything. Like, I literally hear every
CBC.
single thing.
Too much
ridiculous.
CBC.
It's amazing how far the propaganda stretches, and I noticed today there was a presentation sent out from the place that I work for, and it was sent out to from the people at the top to all of us minions, and the very beginning of it had Donald Trump's he was getting his face painted with orange from a bag of Cheetos. And they sent this out on a professional presentation. And I looked at it and I hit delete. And I don't support Trump. I don't support any politician. It's not just Trump. But I just thought to myself, how brainwashed are you people that you're actually I don't work for a small company. Mm-hmm. And you're sending this out to hundreds of people across Canada? It's just so unprofessional. And I know there was also a bit of something last week that took place where I got wind that they were discussing this stuff in kind of like their morning meeting or whatever. And I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with people? So they're using, it's crazy how this is happening, because they're using these big corporations to push this elbows up bullshit and everything else. And it's working.
Yep.
It's working. And I'm just I'm watching this happen around me and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I am not a fan of becoming the 51st state. I don't want to be. I want Canada to remain Canada. But the reason that, and the reason I don't want it is because, and I see so many people saying oh yeah, let's just become part of the U.S. It'll be great, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but haven't we all been trying to fight against one world government? And
Bingo.
I don't really understand how people are like, this'll be so great. No, it's one step closer to one world government, and people are literally walking into it.
Okay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I have been so disconnected with certain things that have been going on. I'm just not paying attention, and I guess this is how I stay happy. Anyways, with the whole some people are so against the whole joining the U.S. or whatever. What is this nonsense about Canadians actually being okay with joining the EU?
It makes even less sense.
Have you heard about?
Yeah, I've heard that.
They're not.
What? What the hell? I was
but it's another. So it's how they said that Kamala was winning the election. They they make shit up and they try to manipulate us. And I've thought this for a really long time, and I wasn't sure if I was right until probably the last 2 years, where I see things like the polls. They'll show the polls and oh, the Liberals are leading in Canada. There has never been a bigger bunch of bullshit spread around. I can't find a single human being. Okay, pre-Carney, I could not find a single human being that supported Justin Trudeau. But if you looked at the polls, allegedly they were doing really well and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so they push these weird things to sway public opinion. And I without getting into a whole thing about it, I posted a video maybe 2 weeks ago now that was done by a former CIA agent and soldier. And he actually goes through what they call the fate model. And he discusses I think I actually posted it in our group chat, but he discusses how they do this and how they like put stuff out there that's not true because it like people start talking about it and then they start believing it. And so this whole EU thing is a bunch of garbage.
It's red herrings to take control of the narrative, essentially. So
Yes,
the narratives, if they
yes.
lose control of the narrative, they have to start putting out red herrings to get you focused somewhere else, essentially. That's the classic tactic. Keep distracting, essentially. And they have many
It's
means they can do
absolutely
to
crazy.
create noise out of nothing, essentially.
Yep. And this video, like everybody should watch it. I'll try to leave the link when we post the episode. Dave, do you know which one I'm talking about?
I will search for it right after we segue into this thing about the North American Union, so the people that are watching know we're also not psycho talking about the North American Union.
Let's
Yeah, we're
do
not
it.
psychos.
May I?
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
In 2005, an arrangement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States was made. This arrangement, unannounced to the public, unregulated by Congress, merges the United States, Mexico, and Canada into one entity, erasing all borders. It's called the North American Union, and you might want to ask yourself why you've never heard of this. In fact, there is only one mainstream reporter who has actually heard of and has had the courage to cover this issue.
The Bush administration's open borders policy and its decision to ignore the enforcement of this country's immigration laws is part of a broader agenda. President Bush signed a formal agreement that will end the United States as we know it, and he took the step without approval from either the U.S. Congress or the people of the United States.
It's a deal that few have even heard of.
It's being done again by very few people at the very top on behalf of the investment class, but the working class of people. Political officials across our country, from communities, from cities, and so forth, they don't know anything about this.
Apart from that, I think one thing people who are dollar-based need to focus on is the Amero. That's the one thing that nobody's talking about that I think is going to have a big impact on everybody's life in Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. The Amero is the proposed new currency for the North American community, which is being developed right now between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico to make a borderless community, much like the EU, and the dollar Canadian.
Yep. I would also like to plug a film. If you guys know Dan Dix from Press for Truth, he has back in 2010 he released a documentary called United We Fall about the same subject. Very good documentary that goes on with the dealings and how he actually confronted at the time Paul Martin and other officials about this, and they're kind of coy about it, but this has been something that's been in the plans and the works for over a generation. So by hook or crook, they're going to get us there. Trump, despite he looks like the opposition to the globalists, could just be another form of bringing us under this new globalized system. But first of all,
I 100% think that is the case.
They need to kill our dollar first, though. And they haven't done that yet, but oh goodness, it's coming.
I don't believe that anybody becomes a rich politician because they're honest. And I know that's going to get me in trouble with the Q crowd and whatever. I don't care. I don't think he's coming to save us. I don't believe he's our savior. I don't like him just as much as I don't like all of the rest of them. There's not a single politician that I would ever put my trust in. And if you read One Nation Under Blackmail, you would understand why I am saying that. They don't get into politics without having to give something up. And that is not made up. That is not a conspiracy.
They need
that is
something
fact.
on you so they can control you. If they have nothing
That's
on you,
right.
then you can't be controlled. Then you must be eliminated, essentially. If you
Yep.
can't be co-opted, you are eliminated. That's how it
pneumonia.
goes.
Yeah, with pneumonia.
Allegedly.
Or, bus accident.
Or helicopter accidents.
Yep.
A
Plane
lot of
crashes.
helicopter accidents.
Well, you saw
a lot of those.
One of the best
Epstein,
witnesses from
you
the
know.
Epstein Island just got hit by a bus and is dying right now.
Yeah.
The one that was
What?
with Prince Andrew. Yeah, I forget her name right now, but yeah, she was
Virginia
hit by
Giuffre.
That's the one. She was hit by a bus and is in dying, deathly ill condition right now because
Virginia
kidney-
Giuffre
Yep.
got hit by a bus?
Yep.
Wow.
And she's
make
been
this
the
shit up.
biggest fighter.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Their best
Is
witness.
Kanye West still alive?
Yeah, I think so. He's still saying
Okay.
crazy shit.
When did this happen?
I believe I saw it, caught wind of it yesterday.
Wow. Look that shit up, Dave.
Oh my gosh.
You rang.
Wow. So who is this exactly?
So she's been one of the biggest, I guess, outspoken victims of the whole Epstein thing. She's very much
He was
has
trafficked
been
to
one
Prince
of the
Andrew.
ones to, yeah.
I'm
And she's
surprised
been
she
one of the
took this-
ones that's been like blowing
This
it up
one.
since the beginning.
Oh, wow.
I'm surprised she hasn't been hit by a bus until now. Like, was she hospitalized with pneumonia? And she?
Wait, I'm sorry. She actually got hit by a bus?
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
Well, I don't know. You guys say allegedly a lot.
Because we have to. YouTube. Hello.
And the bus was
CYA.
vaccinated.
I'm just a naive child. I need
Clearly.
more
The bus
explanation.
was
Get out of here with
vaccinated.
I'm
with your
like-
Gen Z attitude.
I am what they would call mildly retarded.
The bus was speeding to get its next booster.
To get Oh my god.
Yep.
So was she
Who was-
actually hit by a bus or was it?
She was in a
just,
car. It was
like,
a
what's
car
in-
accident. But I think the bus, from what I saw, hit her at like 70. If you see the Patriot Voice post there, it's going 70 plus miles per hour.
Jeez.
Was this a city bus or like a tour bus? Like what kind of bus was it?
School bus.
A school
my
bus. Were there
God.
kids
Was it
on
empty?
the bus?
Please tell me it was empty.
Do we know? Are we privy to that information?
Apparently, the bus just kept going, and there was one person driving it and just smoked this girl. Didn't slow down. Nothing.
Stop it.
What the fuck?
That's not a hit. No.
Are you joking me right now?
Oh, not joking.
What the fuck?
Totally normal.
It's just like the guy from the CIA
Wow.
who reported that all the cocaine trafficking was done by the CIA. Ended up with a shotgun wound to the back of the head, and they call it a suicide.
Also,
Shotgun
a
At the
circus
back
to
of the
back
head.
of the head suicide.
Yep.
Also a circus performer. That's how he did that. Just made that up.
Obviously. Just like the octopus murders, it's the same thing. He killed himself. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow. This is not good.
This is nuts, man.
We're
And
still
this
waiting
is what
for the
scares
list.
me. Because it's like anybody who dares to speak out, you either are going to become unalived or they are just going to discredit you by making you seem completely insane, like Kanye. That's the only way Kanye's still alive, is
I think Kanye's
he's
walking
just-
a line.
Well, he is now, but he's been discredited so many times. They've made him
Yeah.
like out to just be insane, right? They did the same thing with Britney Spears. Like they make her out to be insane. So if she were to ever say anything, she would
Michael
be
Jackson
discredited
as well.
because she's crazy. Michael Jackson, well, he got murdered too, but Michael Jackson allegedly, but he got same thing, right? Oh boy,
This is wild.
craziness.
Woo.
The unfortunate
It's
state of
our-
affairs we live with.
How long ago did this happen? Like, this is fairly recent. Like, I see 7
Like
hours,
2 days
2
max
hours.
or something.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna see if I can see when the articles started coming out.
March
Well-
31st, March 30th.
Yeah, all I see is like 5 hours ago, 4 hours ago, 3 hours ago. So
Fairly recent.
8 hours ago. So it's got to be yesterday, today type deal.
In her Instagram post, she says that the doctors have given her 4 days to live.
She did an Instagram post.
I don't know if she did it. Tammy.
They've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to specialist hospital in urology. She captioned the photograph.
How can you be on Instagram if you got hit by a bus?
That's also what I'm wondering.
Like, no, I wasn't trying to be a jerk when I said, like, she wasn't, but she's talking from the first person, so you gotta think it's her. Hey, you know what? Text-to-speech. I use it all the time, so honestly, if she can talk, she can post.
What's this on the side, though? Prince Andrew's ex, Lady Victoria Harvey, brutal reaction to Epstein victim Virginia hospital
the
message
UK
saying,
tabloids.
right? Has lashed out at Jeffrey Epstein victim Virginia after she posted a photo claiming she has just days to live. They've given me 4 days to live, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
Wow. I think it's important to note that when a school bus driver comes at you driving 110 kilometers an hour as we were slowing down for a turn, that no matter what your car is made of, it might as well be a tin can.
Is she using kilometers?
In the wake of the news, Lady Victoria Harvey, who dated the disgraced Prince Andrew in 1999, took to Instagram to claim karma had reached Giuffre.
Oh.
Wow.
That's a brutal thing to say.
Yep.
Jeez.
Wow.
Okay. Well, Eric,
Yes.
let's talk about the real reason that we brought you here, and that is Luna.
The light of my life.
Tell us about Luna.
She's an Australian Shepherd, Border Collie mix. She was not the runt of the litter. When we went to pick her out, she was the one dog dominating all dogs. And the advice my dad told me is pick the runt of the litter. You don't want to get the most energetic one. Didn't listen. We got the most energetic dog in the bunch. She's lots of energy, lots of attitude, but a heart of gold. Love that dog. She's my shadow. Pretty much, she's my reason to get out of the house all the time. She's made me a lot more active of a person, a lot healthier of a person. And I believe
There's Luna.
She was a gift from God in a way. My wife actually, we got her 2021. So during all of the vax insanity that was happening, I was out of work. I had Luna to kind of raise at the time, and she kind of made things bearable during that really dark time.
Aw, she's so beautiful. Dave's just showing pictures of her on the screen right now,
really
and she's
pretty.
so sweet. I love when you post about her.
Frequently, yes.
And you
I like
guys
her
are always in
colors.
the most beautiful places.
Bruce Trail.
Aw,
Oh my goodness.
she's so precious.
She's got lovely coloring. Like,
Oh,
she's
yeah,
she
just such an
does.
interesting looking dog.
Blue Merle is what they call the pattern.
Okay.
And how old is she, Eric?
She
You said
is
2021, so
3.5, turning 4 in May.
Oh.
aw.
Is
Is
she
she-
fixed?
She's fixed, yeah. Unfortunately, I wish she wasn't.
That's too bad because I've got a little Frenchie and he's
Oh
not
my
fixed and
God,
he'd love
Tammy.
her.
Imagine what they'd make.
No. Excuse me. How old is she? I mean, how big is she?
If nature finds a way sometimes.
Yeah.
How much does she weigh?
She's about 50 pounds.
Okay, so she's more.
Well, she'd
suited,
crush Jacques.
She's more crude.
Jacques has got huge balls, man. He'll be fine. He'd use them shits as a cushion. He'll be okay.
I was going to offer up studying my blue bear, who was obviously more matched size-wise.
Hey, don't hate on the little guy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy.
The saddest
And a lot
thing
of,
is
he's got so much swag. I'm sorry. We can't keep talking about him. I'm sorry, Eric. Please continue.
the saddest day was when we had to get Luna fixed. She started her first menstruation on Valentine's Day, so we took her to get fixed on Valentine's Day. I'll never forgive myself for that.
Aw.
Aw, poor
Yeah.
Luna.
Yeah.
Jackass you are.
Yeah, I'll own it.
So Eric, you are also a musician. So
Yeah.
aside from talking politics and all that fun stuff, you also you do recording. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, since I started playing guitar at 12 years old, I taught myself to record at the same time. So whatever noises I'd make, I'd try to capture on my computer. So it's always been learning how to play guitar, write songs, sing, and slowly over time build my arsenal of studio gear, learn how to use it. So I've been at this almost 20 years now. So just
Wow.
slowly, grow. For me, I don't like learning other people's stuff, so I do know some covers, but for me, it's always been I like expressing myself lyrically, esoterically. So I love songwriting. To me, it's poetry. reason I started learning guitar in the first place is I wanted to write poetry, and I realized people don't read poetry these days anymore. So what I decided to do instead was just put it...
I do.
Oh, fair. I don't write it like I used to. I tend to just write songs these days. So it just kind of... That's my format now. So it grew from a very strong passion of poetry, and then it's just turned into songwriting. And to me, every song is a poem, essentially, with a given structure.
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I agree with that too.
Currently, right now, I perform with a band called Suburban Bicycle Gang. It's seen many different variations, but right now I'm playing with my good friend Jerry Gray, who's an amazing drummer, guitarist, vocalist, and he's taught me how to play drums in the last few years. So what we do is he'll have half the set on the kit, and I'll have the other half the set in the kit. And we're always singing throughout. So we're both singing drummers, singing guitar players, and we're a two-piece, and we do pretty damn good. We released a bunch of singles last year, and the year prior released a silly album titled In the Cosmos, with a song inspired by the Canadian government at the time called Glory Hole of Death.
Glory Hole of Death.
Yes, that's a song I helped work on.
That does remind me of our government.
Where can people find this if they want to listen?
Pretty much any streaming services. Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, I don't know what it is anymore,
okay.
Or SoundCloud.
I'm going to follow you. I did this for Adam.
Dave, can you find Glory Hole of Death?
I'm going to find
You
Glory
just took
Hole
the
of
words
Death.
right out of my mouth. Dave, yes. We need to hear Glory Hole of Death.
I had to mention that one because it's the most ridiculous title we've come up with.
Well, it's the best title ever.
I found you guys. I think. I don't know.
Funny.
Oh my goodness.
I've got it.
Did you put Luna on a cover of a thing? Blue Christmas? She's
Yeah,
so
we
cute.
did Elvis's Blue Christmas in December. We did our own little tacky version of it.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Dave, if you haven't found it, I've got it.
I'm going to follow you, Eric.
And other than that, I do like recording other musicians. I actually joined Suburban Bicycle. Before joining Suburban Bicycle Gang, I was their producer. So they were originally my guinea pig band that I recorded. They were a 3 or 4 piece when I first started working with them. And over time, COVID entered the mix and kind of whittled the members' willingness to go out and play, different personality clashes over COVID. So Jerry, the founder of the band, was still in it. And I said, yeah, let's get some stuff done. So we've been working as a 2-piece for the while since then. But I've worked on another album last year with a woman named Kate Ruckus.
Bud the Squirrel?
Bud the Spud.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, is this it?
I'm not wearing my glasses, and I'm mildly retarded.
That's the other cover we had. We did a Stomping Tom Connor song last year. So you guys know Bud the Spud. Old Canadian country classic, but we did it as a punk song.
That's awesome. Yeah, Dave, it's the top one.
That's the one.
Once as a young man, I came upon a redwood tree, stomping hours, stumped by a sign said free. So I approached slow, like a rogue with open robe, and I poked it into the hole.
We nearly released that as we don't at the moment, but we nearly used Glory Hole Death. Actually, that was the working title of the album. So we're like, well, let's just use the other song In the Cosmos, and we released that as a single ahead of time and marketed it that way. But we nearly released the whole album called Glory Hole of Death.
That's awesome.
That was pretty awesome. Great song.
I do.
You guys
it.
have like a almost like it made me want to go like sit out on a pontoon boat and smoke a joint. And I don't even smoke weed.
Well, not the government stuff these days, anyways.
Yeah.
No, for sure not.
But there's like a kind of like an old school vibe with that. Very good.
I liked it.
Yeah, I have 60s and 70s recording hardware because I don't like modern music sound. To me, I always grew up with classic rock. Late 60s, early 70s to me is my bag for music, so that's kind of what I built my studio around. Old valve, 2 preamplifiers, preamps and equalizers, 2 guitar amps, and yeah, I like that vintage sound. To me, it sounds a lot better. One thing that I did when the war in Ukraine first broke out, I'm like, oh crap, Russia makes all of the vacuum tubes other than China. China's factory's down, so the first thing I had to end up doing when Ukraine got invaded was I went on to eBay and I bought almost all of the old Soviet vacuum tubes I could out of Ukraine. Yeah. And it did me well.
Seems like it seems like you're more prepared than everybody ahead of time. Like you get the heartbeat on it a few months before, and then you're like, okay, I got to do this. I got to panic buy everything.
Yeah, 2020 was the year of 2020 and 2021 were pretty good examples of me panic buying. 2020 was panic buying a lot of meat to freeze in the freezer, a lot of Chef Boyardee. Oh, that's gross. I had to eat that. Yeah, that was like, okay, if things are really bad, because I was thinking, okay, this could be. Have you guys ever read Stephen King's The Stand?
No, but I've heard of it.
Pretty much, it's a book I read back in high school. I read the extended edition, 1,300 pages, and it's pretty much similar setup to how COVID was, but COVID definitely wasn't what his disease was. Stephen King, The Stand scenario was it was a bioweapon, accident released from a bioweapons lab in the U.S., wiping out 99.9% of the human race. And then the book follows the survivors of that. So my mind in early 2020, like January, February, oh crap, this is what could happen. That's where my mind was in the first couple months of the pandemic. And then once I saw case fatalities started dropping below 10%, I went, oh, okay. This is just like the cold, and this is going to drop even further as more cases come in. But as more cases started coming in, people started freaking out more, but the case fatality started dropping below 1%. So I was fine. Well, the whole world was panicking.
That's hilarious. But you don't have to eat Chef Boyardee, right?
Oh, no,
I can send you a great recipe for homemade raviolis.
I would actually like that, yes.
She can. Can you send me the same recipe?
No, I want Chef Boyardee.
Obviously, yeah. Absolutely.
That was a portable ration. That wasn't not for nutrition. That's like, if I have to eat something to survive, this is what I got. I got a few cases of this as a backup if the power goes out.
You should get a pressure canner, and you can pressure can anything as long as it doesn't have milk in it.
Wait, why can't you pressure can milk?
I don't know the answer to that, and
maybe
I'm not going to pretend to.
Something with botulism, maybe. I don't know.
Well, no, because pressure canning, basically
kills the botulism. So it's
there's no chance.
The fat probably goes rancid, is my guess.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can can meat, you can
separate
anything.
The milk.
So if you were gonna do I like to make squash soup. So what I do is just make it without the cream, and then, hopefully during the apocalypse I'll be able to get my hands on some cream that I can add to it. But if not, it's still good without it.
Get your hand on one cow. You've got one dairy cow, and you are set. You and a couple families.
Right? Exactly. But
yes.
You can still do a squash soup if you want to, and then you just add the cream when you're actually heating it up. It's easy. But pressure canning, you'll be set for the apocalypse. I have one. It's great. You can can anything.
I'm gonna have to look
also,
into that.
I have an abundance of pickles downstairs.
My big thing is dehydrating. I love dehydrating beef and making beef jerky, but the problem is it's so delicious. I eat through it so quickly. It's
I
like,
love
okay,
beef jerky.
I'll have
Me
a 10-pound
too.
Ive round, and then I dehydrate it, and then it's a great snack throughout the week, and it's gone.
It would be gone so fast with me. One time, beef jerky was on sale, and I bought 4 of them, and I'm ashamed of how quickly they were gone.
Oh yeah, so quick. If you go through it that quickly, do yourself a favor. Get yourself a dehydrator. It's a lot cheaper to make it yourself, and you can season any way you like. It's going to save you an abundance of money because Beef jerky is damn expensive.
I like you, Eric. We'll be in touch.
If you had an Instant Pot with the air fryer lid.
Okay,
yes.
Here we go.
You can use air fryers to do... Actually, you can even use an oven. If you just keep an oven on low heat, just pop the door open, you can make a lot of jerky that way, too.
Eric, I appreciate you saying that, but where Tammy was going with that, I know where she was going with that. The tone in her voice was, she has been asking me to buy an Instant Pot for, I don't know, how long have I known you, Tammy?
2 years.
2 years? 2 years? Yeah, so 2 years. Yeah. And I still haven't purchased one, and I should, but I don't know, maybe I'll just keep this going. It's a nice little inside joke we have.
All I'm saying is you can get the little rack to put inside of it, and then it works as a dehydrator. You just press the button that says dehydrate. And voila, beef jerky.
Walk away for 12 hours, come back to deliciousness.
That's right. I love homemade beef jerky so much.
I've been in a big, every couple weeks making a batch, and it goes so quick.
I don't think it would last me like 2 days is the problem.
It wouldn't even last me 12 hours. It would be gone.
Good for a high-protein diet. If you're trying to add some muscle, there you go.
Okay, guys, I haven't had dinner yet. Can you stop?
You haven't had dinner yet? I had homemade spaghetti with homemade pasta.
No, I was working until 6:30, and then we jumped on at 7, so I had no time.
I'm going to stop talking about the delicious homemade pasta I had.
Yeah, please.
I won't mention my roast beef.
Dinner.
Oh, roast beef. I had that 2 weeks ago. Delicious.
Oh, my God. Stop.
Okay, we'll stop now. We'll stop.
I'm done.
Let it be known you can't can milk, because once during the canning process, if it's heated to whatever temperature, it's going to separate.
Oh.
Interesting.
See, now you got your answer. By the way, Tammy.
Yes?
I'm having delicious rabbit for dinner.
That's disgusting.
Nice.
I'm kidding. I'm not. I wish I was, but I'm not.
No,
do you actually wish you were?
Oh, I like rabbit. I'll eat rabbit. Yeah.
That's so wrong. Poor Thumper. Poor Thumper.
You know Thumper's not real, right? What subliminal messages are in that movie?
Probably a lot. Oh, we were talking about this. Who was I talking to about this the other day? The subliminal messages in the old Disney movies that everybody seems to have forgotten about. Like when they spelled out sex in the leaves when
was that Aladdin?
The one no, in Lion King, when the lion flops down on the ground and then the leaves fly up into the air and it spells out sex. And it's crazy because I actually remember being a kid and watching these because I heard about them as a kid and would watch them to see if it was true, and they were actually true. Or like in Aladdin when I can't remember what part it's in, but this one part says like, good girls take off their clothes.
Yeah, I remember you showed me that one.
Dave, can you see if you can find some of those?
Yep.
Because there's like a ton of them in Disney movies, or like if you go back to like the really, really, really old like black and white Mickey cartoons.
Steamboat Willie.
He's got a boner.
No. Oh wait, yes, he does. I've seen that clip.
There's sex in the sky.
What?
Oh,
that's not an accident.
No, that just looks like a bunch of snakes and lizards in the sky. Can't be.
Suze, are you there? Thoughts?
I'm here.
Eric, thoughts?
I see it.
Oh, yeah.
No, I was just kidding. I also see it.
I wish we could find the Aladdin one. Because that one is like so obvious what they say and anybody could hear it. Oh, and then what does this say? One of the film's animators, Tom Cito, has since confirmed that yes, there was a word intentionally spelled out in the dust, but it's not as filthy as people thought. Cito insisted the letters actually spell SFX, an in-joke from the film's art and special effects or SFX department. Yeah, okay.
I feel like that's believable though.
And this is why you got vaccinated.
No, I got vaccinated because my ex, they, them weaponized the compassion. That's why I got vaccinated.
Boy.
Eric, what are your thoughts on all of the Disney propaganda?
been there for a long time, and most media out there is propaganda to a certain extent, especially music. Actually, a book on the music industry I'd like to recommend to you guys. Read it years ago, and very, very insightful read. Is called Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. So it's about Laurel Canyon, covert ops, and the dark heart of the hippie dream. It was by David McGowan in 2014. So if you want a good insight on the music industry in LA back in the 60s and the 70s, there's a really, really, really good book of some of the covert ops, the CIA operations inside Laurel Canyon. And it talks about, oh my goodness, the Manson family and how the CIA was involved with them, with high dosage LSD experiments, and a lot of other things like that. I highly recommend checking out that book and that author for something I wanted to do some research on before coming on and just going through it. But I just say recommending that book specifically is an amazing read to follow up on propaganda in popular music. And this is just, you know, a time snap of the 60s and 70s, which were far more tame than what we're seeing in our media and landscape and music industry today. Now they're just literally ramming Satan down our throats.
They really are. And it's crazy to me. I just ordered that book. It's crazy to me that people don't see it. Like, I think it was The Weeknd at the Grammys last year who actually like flashed Satan across the screen, and everybody was like, it's fine. No big deal. Like, it's no big deal. Yep. Or like the one video by Doja Cat.
Or I
don't even know what the name of the song is.
The Lil Nas one is obvious though. I know which one you're talking about.
I don't know the Lil Nas one.
It's Montero. I actually, because I don't hate the song, to be honest. It's not a bad song, but the video is very like obvious Satanism.
It is not subliminal whatsoever.
No, not at all. And there was even a thing surrounding that where he was saying that he was going to sell, I think it was Nike shoes with his own, like a blood vial in them. Like he was on this whole thing about being very like weird and edgy. And
from my recollection, he's getting sodomized by Satan at a certain scene.
Yeah. Song's not terrible, but it's really not a great video.
No, Dave, go back. I think that was the part where he was sodomized by Satan.
Here, if you want to...
Allegedly.
If you want to throw it on, I'll just take out the audio so we don't get copyright.
Coming.
Oh. Yeah, Dave, I think you just had gone back.
Right at the end, you'll see it.
Okay, so there was Little Nas, and I'm wondering if it came after this. He went online and he was like talking about how they're trying to shut him up because he's going to expose them all, blah, blah, blah. And then he released this very like godly music video. Like he was switching from the pressure of this like satanic nonsense. But I don't exactly know which song came first.
I kind of stopped being a fan. Like, I wouldn't even say I was ever really a fan, but after that video, I was like, I'm not into this. Like, I didn't mind his music, but once that happened, I'm like, this is too much for me. So I don't know what you're talking about, so I feel like it might have happened after.
Yeah, it must have happened after, yes.
His quote-unquote redemption arc.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. And I remember him posting something about, like, they want to shut him up, he's going to expose everybody or whatever. And then, yeah, there was this very, like, godly type, like, he was getting right with God or whatever, and like he did this video, and it was
and it's funny because his career is not where it was. He was like the biggest artist for I want to say like 2 maybe 3 years. Like he had the Old Town Road song, that's his song that blew him up like crazy, and then it was just hit after hit after hit, and then all of a sudden he's just like another, he's another A-lister that doesn't do anything anymore.
I just found I remember the shoe thing when you brought it up. I just sent it to Dave. I had done a tweet about it when I first heard about it, because I couldn't believe that they have pentagrams on them, and like there's blood, and he worked with Nike to do it, and they're really
so
creepy
it was Nike.
Shoes.
That's what I thought. I thought it was Nike, and honestly, I thought it was a troll. Like when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, he just had someone Photoshop that. But apparently it was legit. I mean, I could be wrong still. I don't know, but
yeah. Here they are. This is the pentagram.
Really dark.
the pentagram, the inverted cross at the top. And apparently they contain human blood, but I don't know where they contain the blood, but that's the shoes.
Wow.
Nothing subtle about that, no.
yeah, no, totally fine.
They're
totally fine. So, Eric, question for you.
Yeah.
So seeing how much they throw this in our faces all the time, and there seems to be like this crazy thing with Satan worship. Where does that put you with your faith?
I have faith in God, but anyone who tries to tell me the nature of God, I start to question, because we are finite human beings trying to understand a system that's infinite. So I get a little bit wearisome. Anyone who thinks they know the nature of God might be deluding themselves and other people as well. That said, I do like the Bible as a text, and again, that's other people talking about the nature of God, but I like the Gospel of Jesus. The New Testament does have some good stories in there, but I'm very open-minded when it comes to faith and religion. I just say this: I believe in God, I believe in the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. I generally leave it there, because there's a lot of bullshit that gets involved with different denominations, different interpretations. Are there more? I'm a finite human being. I find prayer, the power of prayer, works for me. I have my own relationship with God. Once in a while, I do go to church. There's a Pentecostal church right across the road that I like to visit once in a while, because I do like worshiping with other folks. Do I see myself with their whole doctrines? No. I don't agree with every single doctrine of every single church, but I do believe the process of worshiping and faith is a fundamental building block of our society, for better or worse. I mean, we were built originally as a Christian society. Our laws, our morality, everything has been based off of Christianity. Say for example, if we're talking about a computer program, the Western world was under a Christian software, essentially. And we're seeing the degradation of that now, and the degradation of morals because of that. And yeah, go on. Sorry.
No. Keep going.
It just, yeah. I'd say God is, because trying to complicate anything more onto that, I would just feel like I'm starting to delude myself and delude others. But the Bible is a good source. I'd even say some occult sources, and some people might slay me, that some devout Christians might not like hearing this, but yeah, there's some occult practices that aren't terrible either. If you look into Hermes Trismegistus, I believe there's some very, very interesting wisdom that can be gleaned out of his alchemical reasonings and premises. There's some Christians, like the Renaissance was kind of inspired by the relearning of Hermes Trismegistus. Can't think of the specific text right now. It's not the Emerald Tablet. The Hermetica is what I'm thinking. A good text to read. Again, if I'd say from a faithful perspective, the Holy Bible, and there's many different translations. The next version I'd like to read would be the Orthodox, which they have certain books, the Apocrypha, which the Catholics...
Love the Apocrypha.
The Catholics wiped out of the Protestant and the Catholic version, so I do want to read the Orthodox translation as well to have a better understanding. I read last the ESV version, which is technically the Anglican version, and I don't find myself aligned with the Anglican views, but it is what it is. But when it comes down to faith, I find it should be a personal relationship with you and God. Trying to get other people to tell you what the nature of God is very tricky, because a lot of indignities have been done in the name of God. A lot of work for Satan has been done in the name of God, so I'm very wary of what people try to tell me God is. To me, it's my own personal relationship. I believe in the power of prayer, but I don't have a very, very rigid... I was born and raised Catholic, which I'm not a Catholic anymore.
Can't say I blame you.
Had a bad experience. My was raised in a Francophone family, so went to first all French Catholic school, then got switched over to the English Catholic system, and then the English Catholic system was like, well, he went to French school, he doesn't know the rites, so we want an indulgence from Eric's parents so he can go through his first communion. My dad was an atheist. He said, no, we're not giving the church any money, so I was the only student in grade 3 not to get his communion. So I was like the black sheep in my class. Everyone had to get their first rites and communion. I had to sit down and be the black sheep, got ostracized because my parents didn't want to pay the Catholic Church $500. So that's my animosity.
$500?
$500 so little Eric can get sped up on how to do these Catholic rites. All it was just a cash grab. Oh, yeah.
Seems totally legit.
What a racket.
They weren't just wanting your money.
At that point, I became a militant atheist for a few years in reaction, and I eventually found my way back to God my own way. But oh my goodness, the Catholic Church has done a lot to steer people away from the faith. I'll say it that way.
That's insane.
Agreed.
But other than faith, I'd say one of my greatest passions, other than politics, because I can go on about politics forever, is philosophy. It's one of the greatest passions I have. I
like philosophy.
Yes, philosophy
very
is
much
great.
So. Meditations is my favorite book ever written. I've read it probably
Marcus
20
Aurelius.
times.
We have a bromance happening here. We've got a bromance.
I have a bunch of them actually here.
I have a silver denarius with Marcus Aurelius' face in it, my wallet at all times. So when I remind myself when I want to remind myself the lessons of Marcus Aurelius, I just go, yeah, maybe I should take a chill pill. Maybe I'm being a bit reactionary right now. Maybe I should. It's out of my control. And that's the thing. Stoicism. Stoicism,
yes,
is one of the best philosophies with dealing with the modern turbulence we're dealing with right now, because it came out of a place of turbulence. The Stoics were not writing in stable, nice times. The Roman Empire was a very, very tumultuous place to live in. For example, one of my favorite philosophers at the time was actually Nero's teacher, Seneca.
Yeah.
Seneca's
kind of a piece of crap, but he's a good philosopher.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he was a piece of crap.
Yeah, he was a real piece of shit. But, really
Nero.
great teachings.
He couldn't stop Nero.
Yeah.
But his book on anger, or at least his paper on anger, is a really, really good read to be able to have emotional intelligence. It's like one of the very first works on emotional intelligence you can get out there. So, highly recommend the Stoics, and even the old Greek Stoics. But two Latin phrases I'd like to part with you folks, is amor fati, and this is one that just love your fate. And this is one of the hardest things in the corrupt world and wicked world we live in, is how am I supposed to love my fate when everything is crap? But always realize we could always have it worse. I say I love my fate. I'm in a country that's not going through good times, but at least I'm not in the front lines of Ukraine getting shelled by the Russians or the Ukrainians by drones. I'm not fearing. It could always be worse, essentially. I take amor fati as embrace your fate. You get this fate. Why waste your time trying to want to be anyone else? And this is why I don't like idolization of pop stars or politicians, because then we have people wanting to be somebody else. They have envy of other people's lives when we should be envious. We shouldn't have that envy. We should want to embrace our own faith, live our lives to the best we can. Too many people waste their lives away trying to be someone they're not. So
I've never really understood the idolization of anybody in Hollywood, and that's been since I was a young kid. It just wasn't for me.
Well, and isn't that one of the 10 Commandments too, is thou shalt not covet? Which is like basically social media is coveting, because I can tell you right now, I'm a pretty, well-developed 25-year-old, but if I'm scrolling through Instagram, I get jealous of things and I want things, and it's basically a coveting machine.
Yeah, it's trying to keep up with the Joneses in a way.
Eric, one thing I wanted to ask you, just going back to kind of the religious side of things, or belief side rather. I'm with you. I agree with everything you said, in the sense of I think it has to be a personal relationship. I was brought up non-denominational, but my dad was a very we'll say spiritual person.
My parents were not,
but he did.
I found it I had to find God my own way, essentially.
So being brought up non-denominational, I've always had a lot of questions, and I remember asking my dad too, like, how do we know we're right? And just kind of always trying to understand, why do these people, when you go to their church, they stand up, sit down, repeat after one another, that kind of, each different church has their own things that they do. So, I always kind of question that type of stuff. And the one thing that I've really been questioning lately is the Bible that we've been given. So knowing everything that we know now and how much we've been lied to, do you fear at all that it's been messed with?
I don't fear that it's been messed with. I know it's been messed with because putting the Bible together was a political document of the Roman Empire, because we had a lot. Essentially, early Christianity was a lot of followers of Christ, and it broke off into a lot of different tangents that were persecuted by the Romans. It was only when Constantine decided, for some reason, he's going to put this holy symbol on these shields, and we're going to conquer the Roman Empire under one religion, that they had to do what was called the Council of Nicaea in Constantinople. So when they did that, it became a political affair, because they decide what stays in the Bible and what goes, because it was a mess. It was a bunch of different, and as some people say today, cults or different feelings on what Jesus said, because they had to amass a Bible. So it was a very, very political affair in order what to put. And even that original Bible that was created in the Council of Nicaea was diluted more again in the Vatican when they took out the Apocrypha on the Catholic side. So there's two different Bibles we've got, like two original Bibles, I would say. We've got the Orthodox Bible, which is the older version, and then when the schism happened, the Catholics have their own version, which is watered down a little bit. And then again, the Protestants have their own as well, that they translated to different languages. So we've got the telephone game being played over hundreds of years through different translations, because the original Bible itself, well, the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, and then the New Testament was written in Greek. So it had to get at least translated over to Latin, translated to how many other different versions. So whatever meaning is in there, it's been diluted to a certain extent. And yes, there has been political edits, and I'd say argue, especially with the Council of Nicaea, because at least in my mind, this is me just speculating here, what the intention was with the Romans to adopt Christianity was they knew their empire was on a decline. So they wanted to reunite the empire under one faith. One empire, one God, one faith was the attempt that they tried to do. Did it work? No. But it did lay the groundwork and the foundation for future kingdoms to rise with those ideas, which made Europe very prosperous eventually. But it didn't work out how the Romans wanted to. I would almost argue bringing in Christianity in the way they did led to the demise of Rome itself.
Have you read the Geneva Bible?
I have not, no.
So it's allegedly one of the oldest ones. The 1560 edition is the one that I have. I haven't made it all the way through, but I've been kind of on a journey looking for
old
Bibles. Yeah. Just to see how different it is, because I started to kind of rabbit hole into King James, and
I'd say another old one from, say...
He wasn't a good person.
Yeah. There's also the Lutheran Bibles one to explore as well, because there's interesting history with the original Protestant Reformation within Germany itself, in the German city-states, where it was just pretty much, yeah, we want the Germans to be able to read the Bible. That's kind of what started the Protestant Reformation in Germany. Was you had a Martin Luther who wanted to be able to get regular German folks to read the Bible, because back in the day, it was only in Latin. So only people educated in Latin could actually read the Bible. So this was people who went and were educated at the Vatican. So it was a very, very exclusive amount of people who could actually read what was written in the Bible. When Martin Luther decided he wanted to translate the Bible into German, he got excommunicated and started a period of civil wars in Germany that wiped out 25% of their population fighting over whether Germans should be able to read the Holy Book in their own native tongue, or it had to be controlled under the Vatican. So it's always been about controlling the narrative as well. The Vatican wanted to control the translation because they wanted they had the holy text. We have a monopoly on it, and only people who know the old, ancient, dead Roman language can read it. So a lot of the Protestant Reformation was just leaking that out of the Vatican, essentially, leaking it out of the Roman language of Latin.
Well, the Vatican has been doing shady things since, forever.
Yep.
They've been, I think we even touched on this in the last episode too. If anybody doesn't know about Project Gladio, look into it, they've been laundering money for the CIA and the mafia for decades. And the Vatican Bank is like the only bank in the entire world that does not have to disclose where they get their funds from or where their funds go to. Like the Vatican is so corrupt.
Ironic.
And it's crazy to me that people don't see that.
The Vatican used to outlaw usury in banking entirely until the Medici family bought their way into the papacy. If you ever heard of the Medici family, they're an ancient, they're a very elite, powerful family in Italian city-state Europe. And essentially, they got so wealthy for banking, which was technically a sin, that they bought themselves, one of a pope was actually a Medici pope, who legalized banking, but only under the Medici Bank. So the Medici Bank eventually became the official bank of the Vatican, essentially. So the Vatican was corrupted in the Renaissance by bankers whose... I just say this. Do some research on the Medici banking family, their ties to the Rothschild banking dynasties, and a lot of other banking families. They're one of the original power broker families that got super wealthy, super rich, and they were the first to capitalize and break the Vatican's usury laws. So they took usury from a sin to the Vatican's main business in Europe.
Wow. That's wild. I'm surprised that more people don't dig into the happenings at the Vatican, because there's a lot of crazy things that happen there, and a lot of things that they've been doing. There was 2 girls even that went missing, in like it was within 3 months of each other, and they just disappeared without a trace, and nobody's ever found these girls, 13-year-old girls.
Yikes.
There's so much stuff that happens inside of Vatican City. It's just crazy. And they try to hide all of it.
Because they can. They're a legal state within Rome itself.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people don't know as well, is that they're under their own laws there, which is also pretty wild.
Its own nation. I think it's the world's smallest micronation, or one of the world's smallest micronations as far as I'm aware.
Oh, Dave's brought something up on the screen here. Dave, what do you got?
Just a graphic of that whole Medici business and the actual families that rule the world and the ones that we think rule the world, and the white pope and the great pope and the black pope. And
okay, so can somebody... That's
Medici's
one thing
under
I keep hearing. What is the white pope, the gray pope, and the black pope?
The black pope is the Jesuits, like the leader of the Jesuits. The white pope is the Christianity pope, and the gray pope, I don't know.
Because I don't really understand how that all works. I've been hearing a lot about it lately. But I don't know like what it actually is. Does anybody else know?
I
don't know.
But I just want to say before we maybe get off of this topic, but Eric, you kept saying Medici, and I'm like, that sounds so familiar. Where do I know this from? Because I'm not like a huge history buff, but Assassin's Creed 2, if you ever played those games, or if anybody has, maybe Ash has. I know Ash is a bit of a gamer, but they used them as a primary figure for the Italians in the time of like 1400s Rome.
Are you? Were they the ones paying you to do the hits?
No, you just kind of worked with them as they were characters, right? They were just a powerful family with lots of money. But you kept saying it, I'm like, I know this from somewhere. And those were games that used like real historical figures and events to tell stories. Yep. Anyway, I don't want to take away from the conversation. I just thought that was funny.
No, go ahead. I think it's interesting when things kind of join up like that.
Those games, I will say, like so Assassin's Creed 2, when I was like growing up, that was one of the first, like, I guess like kind of like mature games that I played. I was probably like 10 or 12 years old. And they very much got me in that conspiratorial side of like, you know, the Knights Templar and like just religion and all that. They touch on a lot of those topics in those games, and they use real historical events to tell these really grand stories about old artifacts from the past and a civilization that pre-existed us. Like there's a whole underlying story to those games that connects and weaves throughout all of them. It's very interesting, actually.
Remember what woke me up was watching a documentary on chemtrails at like 12 years old, and I was like, huh, let's look at these things a little bit. What in the world are they spraying? Good documentary from G. Edward Griffin if you guys ever get a chance. I think Dane Wigington was working on it, where they did studies of geoengineering. Just as a complete aside, sorry, you talking about one of your first recollections of waking up. I'd say for me, one of my first things that kind of woke me up was learning, geoengineering. They're spraying shit. What are they spraying? Aluminum and barium. What are they doing with genetically modified foods? Making our seeds resistant to aluminum and barium. Interesting. So it's a way of monopolizing food supply based on spraying heavy metals on everything, essentially. So once you increase concentrations of aluminum and barium, it'll start, especially with monoculture cropping, it'll start killing off crops. So the farmers that will succeed most are the ones using the GM seeds, which they spray with lots of glyphosates, which is really good for us. Even if put it this way, the bugs won't eat it. Should we be eating it?
Fair enough.
That's actually a very good way to put it.
That'd be nice.
I was just actually watching a video. There was a woman in the U.S., I can't remember where, but she had one of the, she was having a conversation. Obviously, he didn't know he was being recorded, with one of the pilots that was flying over their town every morning and every night. And she was calling him out on the chemicals, and he admitted to it.
Interesting.
And it was really crazy. I don't know, the video was maybe 5-10 minutes or something. But I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's actually admitting to it. And then he pawned it off on his boss and told her oh yeah, no, you're going to have to call them and ask them about what we're spraying and blah, blah, blah. He admitted it.
Wow.
So it's true. So for everybody who makes fun of those of us that keep calling out on the chemtrail stuff, and Ash would totally be in on this too, because she's all about the chemtrails. Mm-hmm.
Actually,
they're spraying stuff on us.
RFK is looking at investigating in the geoengineering program right now. That's from what I've been hearing, at least from Alex Jones. So who knows? But it looks like they potentially are looking into the geoengineering, at least in 31 states, to actually stop it from happening over their skies. So it looks like there might be some pushback.
It also makes me wonder. So I've had a few people reach out to me, talking about. Hopefully I have this right. Germ theory versus terrain theory.
Okay, I've heard
so,
that.
Yeah. So basically, we're taught that if somebody's sick, you'll get it from them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But there's a belief out there. I haven't looked at it heavily enough yet. But the belief is that you get sick, I think, based on your body.
Your immune system. So if your immune system is strong, you're not going to catch any contagion. So if everyone's immune... for example, why the Black Plague was so deadly when it was is because hygiene was down. Everyone's immune systems were down. So, yeah, bubonic plague just going to rip through society, where we've had instances of bubonic plague rips back up again. 2-3 people die. That's it. Because the terrain of the populace, the generalized immune systems of people are very high. That's why COVID did nothing. Because generally speaking, despite how much toxins were being pumped with, people were very resilient. I think COVID didn't do exactly what the elites intended with it. I think humanity is a lot more resilient than the elites would like us to be.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with this. And the reason I tend to lean towards the terrain theory idea is that if you even Google terrain theory, immediately it comes up germ theory denialism. So you're automatically a denialist. And then of course that automatically pushes me the other way. So terrain theory is more the idea that if you are healthy, you eat well, basically everything comes from internally. So if you're not well internally, you'll get sick. If you are well internally, you will not. Whereas germ theory is basically, well, if we're all in a room together and Eric, you're sick, we're all going to get it. And I'm going to squash that now, because I can tell you, in not last Christmas, the Christmas before, I was invited to a Christmas party, and it had, I'm going to say, anywhere from 40 to 50-ish people, kids included, and they had like the idea of the party was everybody brought a charcuterie board. And so some people were tasked with like a dessert ones, you know, others cheese, whatever. And so there's a lot of hands in that. So you've got, you know, 40 to 50 people, children included, which are based on germ theory, germ carriers. And you've got everybody picking through everything. And every single person at the party was vaccinated except for me. And every single person at that party ended up with COVID except for me.
You had your immune system had training. We're
Yep.
compromised.
Yeah. So I'm not a big believer in the germ theory thing. I lean more towards the terrain side of things, but it's definitely interesting. And I bring that up because the spraying us with things, I've often wondered, are they spraying us with sicknesses? Because I find it very convenient that, you know, we have flu season, right? Well, is that because they're spraying us with it?
It could be a bit of both. So you talk about terrain theory. Yeah. So taking away the free vitamin D that most people get, our terrains are down. Bring on cold temperatures, our terrains are down. So based on terrain theory, seasonal flu makes sense. Everyone's terrains are lowered. But yes,
that's
you
true.
want to spray on top of that, that's just going to make it a lot more efficient. It's a time to do it. If you're thinking about culling world population like Bill Gates and all, you know.
Yeah, which they're totally doing to us. Suze, you're back.
Yes, I've been back for a while.
Welcome. You've been quiet.
Yes. Sorry.
All good. Okay, well, we're rounding out to about an hour and a half now, so we should probably call it. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
My
it was
pleasure.
awesome to actually get to talk with you. I'd love to have you back. I know Ashley was super bummed that she couldn't be on tonight's episode, so she was really looking forward to being able to chat with you. So I'd love to have you back at some point. Just before we kind of go around the room, Eric, tell everybody where they can find you, find your music, all that fun stuff.
You can find my music. Just look up Suburban Bicycle Gang, and anywhere you'll find music, you'll find it there. You can find me on my Twitter at Eric St.Pierre. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just look up Suburban Bicycle Gang if you want to find the latest music I've been working on with my buddy Jerry. There's that. And yeah, X, just those are the two platforms I tend to use. I'm on other platforms, but I don't tend to them these days.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric, and thanks for joining us.
Much obliged. It's been a great time, and again, look forward to an opportunity of coming back. Could I say one thing before we go?
Absolutely.
So, I said amor fati, describing how we should love our fate. And another thing to always remember is memento mori. Always remember our death. We're mortal. So, with that said, make the best of it. You could die tomorrow. You can get hit by a bus tomorrow. Just like, anyways.
A bus.
You could get hit by a bus tomorrow. So, what that means, it's the opposite of YOLO. It's make the best of every moment you have. Live without regret. Think, this could be my last moment. Make the best of it, essentially. Life is fragile. Life is limited. Take full advantage of it. Don't waste. Try to waste as limited time as possible being angry and fearful. That's the parting words I'd have, essentially. Memento mori.
That is a fantastic message. Thanks, Eric.
Yes, beautifully said.
Noah, Dave, any last thoughts?
Dave, you go first.
Eric, based on your posts and now meeting you in real life, you are exactly the person that I pictured I thought you were going to be. And that's a really good thing. So it's a pleasure meeting you here, and look forward to having you back.
Likewise.
Okay. It was nice to meet you, Eric. I didn't know of you at all. I mean, I try and pay attention to what's going on Twitter, but I'm not really a Twitter guy, X guy, I guess, to be honest. But it was great to meet you, and you're full of surprises from, the beginnings of our conversation here today, and then finding out that we actually have quite a few things in common. I feel like you'd be somebody I'd have a really cool philosophical conversation with.
Likewise.
So I would love to see you back on this podcast, and if you do come back on this podcast, I'd love to be a part of it. So thank you.
Likewise.
Only if we allow you, Noah. Only if we allow you.
Okay, fine, Suze. I'll just leave.
But can you still edit the podcast, though?
Well, see, now I'm conflicted.
We love you, Noah.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. You know what? That audio is really going to be real tough to edit this week.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Guess there's no sneak peek.
Oh, crap. Well, I've been behind anyway, so whatever.
Suze, final thoughts for you.
Oh, just Eric, I was so looking forward to having you on. I even said to Tammy, like, the day she announced that she was having you on, I was like, I was just thinking about this yesterday. How come we haven't had him on yet? So it was such a pleasure. I love your post. Keep doing what you're doing, and I love your message. And, yeah, the world is lying to us, everybody. Wake the fuck up, and that is all.
Well said.
And we don't have Ash to ask what she's doing for next week. Suze, do you have any idea? Or maybe it's just going to be a surprise.
It's probably going to be about giants. Who knows?
We need more giants.
Fair enough. She does love her giants.
Who makes the shoes?
Thank you. What was that?
For the Giants, who makes the shoes? I like to see the shoemaker of the Giants. Anyway, sorry.
I feel like we need to pose that question to Ashley, and that'll send her down another giant rabbit hole.
Huzzah.
A giant rabbit hole.
Yep. Everybody, if you haven't checked out Eric's X page or his music, please do so. One of my favorite things that Eric does is the question of the day. So if you haven't checked those out, definitely check those out now. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we will talk to you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.